gonna recording it, okay? So let's start with the first type of question. In my opinion, this is more difficult, so we're gonna discuss that first, okay? We're gonna discuss single choice question. Now, what is single choice questions? I'm gonna share with you my screen so you know which one is a single choice question. Just give me a second. I am going to share my screen again. Sharing the screen here. I'm going to share the sounds as well. Okay, so what you guys are seeing is the actual test. I'm just gonna make it full screen, and no way. I don't know how to make it. Anyway, this is the actual test that I was talking about, actual test number 2, and I have been collecting, confirming, and refining actual tests that were reported by my clients. Of course, it takes time and effort for me to do so. So I have had 2 different actual tests. Feel free to do it for free on my website, practice9.co. Okay. If you need any help, if you want to get some individual personalized guidance from me, also feel free to reach out. But in today's session, we will be discussing IELTS listening, and in particular, we will be discussing this. We will be discussing this kind of question. This is called single choice questions, where you have the question and you have to choose one answer to answer the question. And I call this one multiple choice questions because you have a question and you have more than one choice. Okay, you can choose more than one choice. But this is single choice questions. These are single choice questions. And this is part 3 of the IELTS listening exam, which is, in my opinion, the most difficult part of the IELTS listening exam because, I have some problems with following different people talking at the same time. Sometimes I find myself like lost in the middle of everything. But that doesn't mean that we have to give up on this and we have to give in to the issue here. I have strategies, and I am here to give you the strategies for you to do well in this exam, in this particular type of question. Now, if you are struggling with this type of question, maybe today we are gonna give you some hope. Okay, so this is the single choice question. Now, let's not look at this for now. Let's not look at this, okay? What I would like you to look at right now is this screen. Right. We are discussing the strategies here, which is why I would like you to look at this screen that I have over here, okay? So we have question 21 to 26, all right? And I would like you to spend about 1 minute to read the questions, okay? I would like you to read the questions only. Spend 1 minute to read the questions and try your best to remember the question. Okay, you're ready? You have got 1 minute to read and remember the questions. And now it is time we're going to practice a little bit. Now, the reason I'm asking you to read the questions only here is that I'm going to ask you to take notes when you hear, when you listen to the recording. Okay. So it is very important for you to remember the questions and to know exactly what you are looking for, the information that you are looking for. And when you listen to the recording, I would like you to take some notes next to the question, okay? Take some notes because it's going to help you answer the questions later. So these are the questions. You have already read the questions and you have already tried to memorize the question. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to play the recording. We start with question 21. And for question 21 to 23, I will be pausing and in between questions for you to take notes. Okay. From question 21 to 23, I'm going to play now, and I'm going to pause in between questions so that you can take some notes. All right. This is how we're going to practice. I would like you to remember the questions, listen to the recording, and then take some notes to answer the question. The first question, question 21 here, is about Mona's presentation topic. We need to answer what this topic is about. Okay, and we are going to listen to the recording now. And also give me a thumbs up if you can hear the recording, okay?
Assist you in events. You could do it.
Ted, what do you think I should do?
Let me just find this.
Mona and Ted talking about a presentation on design development.
Can you hear the recording? Can you hear the sound from my side? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear it? Okay, you can hear. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna play now, and I would like you to look at the question here and answer question number 21. Okay, I will be pausing between questions from question 21 to question 23. This is how we're gonna practice. Okay. And of course, when you are listening, please take some notes next to the question to answer the question. Okay.
First, you have some time to look at 6 and answer questions 21 to 26.
Ted, you've looked at my presentation, haven't you? What do you think of it?
Hey, Mona. Yes, I have. Before giving you some advice, I have a question. Why didn't you write about the development of design and its influence, or connection with social advancement, or even art movement? In my opinion, this direction would have more significance.
Actually, I just want to focus on the history of design. I'm particularly interested in its history from the 1800s. That's why I wrote about it.
Okay, so that is the end of the area of the part where you can answer question number 21. I now give you about 10 seconds to note down the information that you heard. Okay, good, right? So over here we have your answer over here is, you have the answer here, history of design, which is okay. Now, I'm not saying that it is correct or is not correct, okay? What I'm doing here is I'm going to continue playing the recording, and you continue reading and answering question, reading. You continue listening and answering question number 22, which is over here. Mona doesn't want to just talk about one topic and we need a reason for which she doesn't want to talk about just one topic. Okay. So I'm gonna continue playing the recording now. Don't forget to take notes, okay?
I see. It could save some effort.
Not really. I've covered different areas of design, such as building, clothing, and products. It's a lot of work.
Right. Is it because you want to give a comprehensive talk?
To be honest, I was worried about my teacher's reaction. If I only talk about one area, she might think I've been lazy.
Okay, so that is the end of the area where we can find answer to question 22. Just give you about 10 seconds to answer this question. And don't forget to note it down, write down, okay? Okay, that's right. Now you tend to, since Josh now already left, we have only one person here. This is still also fine to me. So you say that okay, she did talk about clothes and others, but you did not hear anything else after that. Right. So we're gonna go back to this a little bit, okay? This is where I would like to pause to remind you of one of the biggest tricks in IELTS listening when it comes to a conversation between two people. So I made a video about this, and the video actually got a lot of attention from people on all the platforms about the tricks in IELTS listening, especially IELTS listening where there is a conversation between two people. So in this part 3, we have a conversation between two people. And the question here is, just pause a little bit. We look at the question here. The question here is about the reason Mona doesn't just talk about one topic, right? And we need the information to answer this question, why Mona doesn't talk about just one topic. And we need the information there. So the question is about Mona. Our instinct, first of all, is to think that the information will come from Mona because the question is from Mona. For example, if I ask you a question, say, what is your favorite food, right? So my expectation would be the answer that I would get is from you. You should be giving me the answer, not your mom, not your dad, right? So this is our instinct to know, to expect information coming from which speaker. And in this case, we expect the information coming from Mona. Now, this is the classic trick, and we're going to listen to it a little bit again, okay?
Really, I just want to.
Before giving you some advice, I have a question.
I wrote about it.
I see. It could save some effort.
Not really. I've covered different areas of design, such as building, clothing, and products.
Okay, this part, Mona talks about her covering different areas of designs. Okay, so this is she talking about herself covering different topics, not just one topic.
It's a lot of work.
Right. Is it because you want to give a comprehensive talk?
Okay, so in this part, if you, the reason we are not reading the choices yet, because absolutely this is where the trick comes from. This person, Ben, he gives a possible reason for which Mona doesn't just talk about one topic, right? And the reason is that maybe she wants to give a comprehensive talk. This is the information coming from Ben, but the question is coming from the question is about Mona, which means we need to wait for Mona to confirm the information, okay? So if she confirms that, yeah, she wants to have a comprehensive talk, so comprehensive talk should be the answer to this question. But if she refuses, if she says that no, it's not like that, so the answer should not be comprehensive talk, okay? So we're gonna listen very carefully in this part to know what exactly the reason she doesn't want to talk just about one topic is, okay?
To be honest, I was worried about my teacher's reaction. If I only talk about one area, she might think I've been lazy.
Okay, so this is the reason that Mona gives. It's not comprehensive talk, right? So what is it? In your own words, can you write it down? What the reason she doesn't want to just talk about one topic is? What is it? Okay, okay. You're asking me to repeat the audio one more time. All right, absolutely fine. But did you hear any word? Did you hear the word lazy? Just move it a little bit back. Yes, okay. You heard the word lazy, so just don't know. Now, here's the thing. You don't have to understand every single, or you don't have to get every single word in the recording to answer the question, okay? You just need to understand what it is generally about. And I want you to use your own word to answer these questions. I don't need you to use the exact word in the recording to answer these questions, okay? So I'm gonna play the recording one last time and tell me exactly why Mona just doesn't talk about one topic, okay?
Think of it.
Hey, Mona. Yes, I have.
Such as building, clothing, and products.
Okay, now is where the reasons are coming, okay?
It's a lot of work.
Right. Is it because you want to give a comprehensive talk?
To be honest, I was worried about my teacher's reaction. If I only talk about one area, she might think I've been lazy.
Okay, so why doesn't Mona want to just talk about one topic? You don't get it? Okay. Okay, so the answer from Mona is that she said, to be honest, I'm worried that my teachers will think that I have been lazy. Okay, so Mona is worried that her teacher might think that she has been lazy. That is the answer. So Mona doesn't want just to talk about one topic because she is worried that her teacher might think that she has been lazy. So I'm gonna type it down over here for you to see, okay? because she is worried that her teacher thinks she has been lazy. Now, this is when I teach you like this, I make the full sentence like this. But when I take notes, I will share with you my notes later. You will see how much I write. Okay. You will see that I will not have the full sentence like this, but over here, just for you to understand that this is what her reason is. She says that I'm worried about my teacher's reaction, that she thinks that I might have been lazy, right? So her reason is that she is worried that her teacher thinks that she has been lazy. Okay, so this is question number 22. Question number 23 is about what Ted says about Mona's topic. Okay, we need to listen to the information about Ted, and we need to know his opinion about Mona's topic. So we're going to continue listening and going to pause when the information to answer this question is completed. Okay.
You know what? Even though it's okay to talk about different aspects, I think the topic is too broad. It would be hard for the listeners to focus on any specific area.
Okay. Finish. That's his information. That's his opinion about Mona's topic. A bit fast, I understand, but did you get any information? What he thinks about, or what did he say? What does he say about her topic? Did you get it? No? Okay, no problem. It's fine. Okay, we're gonna listen to it again. I know it's a bit difficult and it's a bit too fast for our own brain to process. Now, I share the same feeling, okay? When I started IELTS, it was exactly the same, so don't worry. We're gonna work through this together. Okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit so that we're gonna listen to Tess, what Tess says about Mona's topic, okay?
Actually, I just want to focus on the history of design. I'm particularly
Any specific area.
Okay.
Because you want to give a comprehensive talk?
To be honest, I was worried about my teacher's reaction. If I only talk about one area, she might think I've been lazy.
You know what? Even though it's okay to talk about different aspects, I think the topic is too broad. It would be hard for the listeners to focus on any specific area.
Okay, so he said that even though it is okay to talk about different aspects, he thinks that the topic is too broad and it would be hard for the listeners to focus on any specific area. Okay, so what is Ted's opinion about Mona's topic? He said that even though it's okay to talk about different aspects, but the topic, in his opinion, he thinks too broad, and it would be hard for the listeners to focus on any specific area. So, in a few words, can you tell me what Ted says about Mona's topic? Aspects of area. Okay. Can it be okay? So when you answer this, I just want to ask you a question. Can this be the answer to question 23? Question 23 is asking you about test opinion about Mona's topic, right? Aspects of area, is it possible? Like, can it be the answer to this question? I don't think so, right? Right. Okay. So, when you take notes, it's also very important for you to know that you are not typing down, or you are not writing down all the words that you have heard. You are writing down the words that can possibly answer the questions. We're not writing down everything, right? So what does Ted say about Mona's topic? What is his opinion? So I'm going to repeat over here, okay? I'm going to repeat what he said. He said, even though it's okay to talk about different aspects, I think the topic is too broad. It would be hard for listeners to focus on any specific area. In your own word, you don't have to repeat the exact same word. In your own word, can you answer question 23? Does he think it's interesting? Does he think that it is very specific? Does he think that it is difficult? Or does he think that it is what? Do you have the answer? It's okay if you don't have the answer. I totally understand. That is a bit difficult. I can see. So Ted thinks that Mona's topic is too broad. Okay, too broad. That's in his word. He said, I think it is too broad. Okay, it's too big. The topic covers too many things. That means it's too broad, right? So we have 3 questions over here. We already have 3 questions over here answered. Mona, present topic is about, you said it's about history of design, right? History of design. Right. So this is the notes that we have taken. Okay, so okay, you don't understand the meaning of the word broad. Broad in this case, in this context, means if a topic is too broad, it means it covers too many different aspects. So in this case, her presentation covers not only one topic, it covers different topics. So that's why Ted says that it's too broad. Broad means big, very big. And in this case, it means that the presentation covers too many different topics. Okay. That's the meaning of the word broad. Okay. Very good. Okay, you heard the word, but you did not understand, and now it is a chance for you to learn this word. It's also a very good word to use. Okay. So we have the notes that we have taken for question 21, 22, and 23. We have the first one is history of design. The second one is because she's worried that her teacher thinks that she's been lazy. And the third one is too broad. Now, this is the very first step of doing this kind of question, single choice questions. First, we need to read the questions. We need to remember the questions. Then we listen to the recording and we use the information that we get from the recording to answer the question in our own understanding and in our own words. And then the next step we are going to do when we have finished listening is to compare our notes to the choices that we have. Okay, now this is done by the end of the recording, because at the end of the recording, we will, of the part, we always have about 1 minute to check our work, which is when we are going to read all the choices and we compare our notes to the choices to answer the questions. This is how you practice for the IELTS listening exam for the single choice questions. Okay, now this is I believe that a lot of people are struggling with this kind of questions, which is why we need to have different strategies so that maybe this strategy will help you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to read the choices for question 21, 22, and 23. And then we compare our notes to the questions. Okay, so I'm going to share again another screen. Okay, so as you can see over here, there are two screens being shown now that you can see. Okay, so we have question 21, 22, and 23. Okay, over here, I'm just gonna make it a little bit smaller so you can see it. This one is a bit funny. Let me do this. Okay, done now. I'm gonna make this one bigger. Now, okay. All right. Now, can you help me do one thing? Okay. Can you read the choices for question 21 and tell me which is the correct answer based on the notes that we have taken over here? Based on the notes that we have taken for question 21, and we're gonna compare our notes to the choices that we have over here, A, B, and C. Which one is the best option? Did you get the answer? Very good. Okay, 21 is A. I agree with you. Now, in the recording, there's a part where she mentions this year as well, 1800s. Okay, she says she wants to pay attention to the history of design, particularly from in the 1800s. Okay, so if you were able to write down the number that will be the best. But over here, even if you are not able to write down 1800s in your notes, you still can guess the answer, because only A is the best answer over here. Okay. Now, similarly, I would like you to read the choices for question 22 and then compare to our notes over here and tell me which answer is the closest to our notes. Don't worry, don't think about synonyms. Do not think about synonyms, okay? We are not looking at words because, as I said, the same thing in reading, words are normally not repeated between the recordings and the questions, and also between the texts and the questions. So we are not looking at the words, we're looking at the meaning of the answers and of the questions and of the recording, right? So over here, question 22, we have our own answer is that she's worried that her teacher thinks that she has been lazy. So she's worried about her teacher's reaction. She's worried about her teacher's opinion, and she's worried about basically something related to her teacher, right? So only in this question, only A can be the answer to this question, because over here she's worried, she's afraid of her tutor's response. Okay, it doesn't mean that she is not. It doesn't mean that what do you call it? What do you say? Okay. So the words are not the same, right? Over here, yeah, in her own word, she says teacher. Over here in the question, we have tutor. In her word, she says reaction. In the question, we have response. So in her word, she has worried, and in the question, we have afraid. Basically, the meaning the same. So A is the answer to the question. Very good. A is the answer to the question. And of course, question 23, very easy. The exact word over here, the easiest question of them all, it is C. He thinks that it is too broad. Okay. Now, this is one of the strategies that you can use to tackle single choice questions in IELTS listening, because most of the time, if you notice IELTS listening, all the choices will be mentioned in the recording, but only one choice is confirmed to be the answer to the question. If you read all the choices here, you may be very much confused when you read when you listen and then when you answer the question, right? Because, for example, in question 21, at the beginning of the recording, Ted already talks about design development and social advancement. Okay. And if we listen to that only and we take B as the answer right away, that's difficult. Okay, that's the answer. Sorry, that's the wrong answer, right? This is one of the tricks in IELTS listening. So to tackle single choice questions like this, sometimes it's not that easy, because when we are practicing, we are calm, we're at home, we don't have a lot of stress. But when we are in the actual exam, it's probably more difficult than this because of our mental state. This is how you can start practicing for the IELTS listening exam for the single choice questions. I'm not saying that you should do this continuously until you go to your actual exam. after some time, when you are very much familiar with this kind of question, you actually do not really need to take notes anymore, and you can directly answer the question. That is when your reading comprehension is faster. So your reading comprehension is better. Your reading speed is much faster than before, and then you can find it much easier. But this is how you're going to start practicing for the IELTS listening exam in the single choice questions. Is one of the strategies for you to do so. So would you like to continue with other questions, question 24 to 26, or would you like to have a Q&A question and answer session? Since we have only one attendee today, I'm gonna give you all the attention that you need. Would you like to continue doing question 24 to 26, or would you like to have a Q&A session? As in, like, ask me questions and I answer. It's okay, you can unmute yourself because this is only you and me.
Teacher, it's really amazing classes. Like I can do like 24 to 26.
Okay, so we continue doing 24 and 26, and in this,
Yeah.
and okay, and the second part is I'm not going to pause between the questions anymore. Okay, I'm going to play the recording until the end of question 26, and we are gonna do the same thing. We're gonna listen and take notes, and then we're gonna use our notes to compare to the choices and to choose a choice. Okay. So I'm gonna wait a second. I am
Is
not.
it
Yes,
is it the listening part 3 or 2?
this is listening part 3.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why it's a little bit difficult. I understand that, okay, but don't worry. It is difficult now. Gonna be a little bit easier after some time. Okay, I'm gonna play the recording, and you are going to listen and take notes like we just did. Okay.
You are right. I only have about.
Then we go back a
Because
little.
you want to give a comprehensive talk?
To be honest, I was worried about my teacher's reaction. If I only talk about one area, she might think I've been lazy.
You know what? Even though it's okay to talk about different aspects, I think the topic is too broad. It would be hard for the listeners to focus on any specific area.
You are right. I only have about 45 minutes for the talk. Maybe I should narrow the range.
That would be much better. And you can use computer technology to assist you in your presentation, like using the CAD or other computer software.
I'm not sure. Although computer technology can improve the visual effects of my presentation, I'd rather use the traditional way since I'm talking about the history of design. I guess traditional media is more affected by computers rather than designing industry.
That makes sense. You could do it your own way. As for the content, you mentioned purism, and you said it can save people's effort. I don't really agree with that. I think it's not really easy to achieve. On the other hand, I do think it's important to apply this concept in architecture. I mean, the buildings should look simple and elegant.
That's a good point. Ted, what do you think I should do to further improve my talk?
Well, I think you have read enough books about it. So it's not the theories that you lack. Why don't you visit the Design Museum in the north of the city? One of my friends went there last month, and he said it was worth it. I'm sure it can give you some inspiration. Before you...
Okay, so that is the end of question 26. It's too fast. Okay, so 24 is history and design. Okay, now think about the question. Okay, think about the question. The question is, what is Mona's viewpoint on computers? What does she think about using the computers? 26, design museum. Okay, good. We have just design museum. 25, did you get? history and design. I don't think history and design can answer question 24 though, because the question 24 is about her viewpoint on computers, what she thinks about computers, what she thinks computer can do, for example, right? So I don't think history and design can be the answer though. It may be difficult for you, right? So shall we listen to the recording one more time? Okay. Using software related? Okay, using software related, using software. So should we listen to the recording a second time? Okay, good.
Such as building, clothing, and products. I was worried about my teacher. You are right. I only have about 45 minutes for the talk. Maybe I should narrow the range.
That would be much better. And you can use computer technology to assist you in your presentation, like using the CAD or other computer software.
I'm not sure. Although computer technology can improve the visual effects of my presentation, I'd rather use the traditional way since I'm talking about the history of design. I guess traditional media is more affected by computers rather than designing industry.
Okay, that's question 24. She talks about, okay, very good, traditional media, something about traditional media, computer affecting traditional media. Okay, very good. I'm just gonna write it here, okay? Affecting traditional media. Okay, affecting traditional. Okay, that's good. That's a good start. Did you hear the part where she says it affects more the traditional media, not the history of design, right? So that's where it is. Now, we have question 25 that you haven't answered, so we're gonna play the recording now, okay? Pay attention, very close attention to this.
That makes sense. You could do it your own way. As for the content, you mentioned purism, and you said it can save people's effort. I don't really agree with that. I think it's not really easy to achieve. On the other hand, I do think it's important to apply this concept in architecture. I mean, the buildings should look simple and elegant.
Right? Did you hear something? Purism. Okay. Something about architect, something about building. Okay, very good. Did you hear the word important? There is not all okay, it's elegant, but that's okay. Okay. Did you hear the word importance? Okay, you missed the word important. Okay, that's okay. That's fine, no problem. So we can listen to this one more time because I want to talk about one of the tricks, okay? So he talks about what he thinks of purism, and this is what he says.
I'm not sure. Although computer technology can improve the
To apply this concept in architecture, I mean, the
media is more affected by computers rather than designing industry.
that makes sense. You could do it your own way. As for the content, you mentioned purism.
Okay, as per the content, you mentioned purism. So this is where we start thinking about the answer to the question 25, because this is where the word purism appears for the first time, okay?
And you said it can save people's effort.
And you said it can save people effort, okay? And you said it can save people effort. Now, it's not his opinion, okay? This is not his opinion. This is Mona's opinion. of purism. That's not his opinion. So he's repeating Mona's words. And then listen to what he says next.
I don't really agree with that.
I don't really agree with that. Meaning he doesn't agree that purism saves people effort, right? So this is a very, very typical trick in IELTS listening. So he mentioned something that somebody else says. In this case, he is mentioning something that Mona said, and then he says, I don't really agree with that. So instead of saying, I don't think that, or I don't agree that, ABC, right? He's mentioned somebody's word, and then he rejects those information or the pieces of information, or he rejects the opinion over there. So this is very important for you to listen to the whole thing. Just don't jump into answering the question when you hear save people effort, because sometimes that is where they trick you into having a wrong answer, because he's rejecting right after that. Okay, so we automatically understand that, okay, he already rejects somebody's information, somebody's opinion. He's gonna give his own opinion now. So he's gonna give his own opinion now, okay?
I think it's not really easy to achieve.
I think it's not really easy to achieve, okay? So he's still rejecting Mona's opinion of purism.
On the other hand,
when we hear on the other hand, we know that something opposite is going to be said.
I do think it's important to apply this concept in architecture.
Okay, this is the combination of both the trick and grammar. Instead of saying I agree, or he said I agree, right? I think, he said I do think, I do agree. So this is a little bit of grammar. When you want to emphasize on your opinion on what you are doing, you say you use this type of grammar to emphasize on that, and to make it clearer. So instead of just saying that I think he's handsome, I think she is right, you say I do think she is right. Emphasize on your opinion, emphasize on the fact that you think she is right. So instead of I think, you say I do think. Similarly, you can also say something like, instead of saying I had dinner, you can say I did have dinner. Emphasize on the fact that you already had dinner. Okay, now a lot of people in this situation may mistake the word do as don't. So they don't understand he's saying that I do think, but they understand that he's saying I don't think, right? So it's very important for you to pay attention to the word over here. And of course, you need to be aware of this grammar to know and to understand what it actually means, okay? It's also very useful for your speaking. If you can use this in your speaking, it also shows a high level of grammar that you have. Okay, we continue.
I mean, the building should look simple and elegant.
That affects
People's effort. I don't really agree with that. I think it's not really easy to achieve. On the other hand, I do think it's important to apply this concept in architecture.
I do think this important to apply this concept in architecture. Okay, I do think it is important to apply this concept in architecture. Okay, so the answer for question 25 here is important in architecture, right? That's what he thinks. He doesn't think, maybe you can write a little bit more like not think it's saves people effort, right? Not easy. That's what he also said, but he also thinks that important in architecture. So this is the note that we have taken, and this is the note that we have taken. Let's just now look at the questions and look at the choices and choose the choices for each question, okay? Now I am going to share with you the screen. One more screen we are sharing. Okay. Can you tell me your answer to question 24, 25, and 26? Okay. 25. 25, sorry, 24 is B, right? 25. A. And 26. And that's okay, we continue. 26 is C. Okay, very good. All correct. A, 24 is B, 25 is A, and 26 is C. Now you are a little bit confused in question 25, right? You probably think that it saves a lot of effort here. B may be the answer, but B is not his opinion. That's what I said, right? It's not his opinion. This is Mona's opinion. He said, you said. Basically, Mona said that it saves people effort, but he doesn't think so. He doesn't think it's that easy. So nothing that it saves people effort and it's not easy, but he thinks that it's important in architecture. Okay, so he talks a lot about purism, yes, but his opinion is that it's important for architecture. He doesn't think that it saves a lot of effort. He doesn't think so because that's not his opinion. What he said is that, so he just repeated Mona's opinion and then he rejected that opinion. He's like, no, it's not okay. Okay. This is very important for you to know the trick now. Again, we don't know what trick we are going to face in IELTS listening in our actual exam. We need to be aware of all the tricks and we need to be, you need to stay really focused on the information that we are getting and to try to filter information that is not necessary. So in a video that I made, I also talked about IELTS listening is like doing IELTS listening is like putting a funnel, right? So we have a lot of information coming in and your job is to use a funnel to filter out the information that is not necessary to answer the questions and keep the information that is necessary to answer the question and only focus on information that is necessary to answer the question. Okay, that is why we need to practice. Practice makes 9, in my opinion. Over here, the more you practice, the better you're gonna get. Now, IELTS listening part 3 is generally difficult because it involves more than one person talking, and it also involves a lot of tricks, which is why, you know, we often lose a lot of marks over here. This actually, the actual test listening to here is actually not difficult. It's not the most difficult one that I have ever come across. So if you find yourself struggling a little bit with this kind of question, I would strongly suggest you find the reasons you are struggling. And in my opinion, Zinu, your problem probably now is, I think there are two problems that the two biggest problems that you're having right now. The first one is the lack of the vocabulary. Okay, so there are a lot of new words in the recording, which makes it very difficult for you to understand, very difficult for you to follow the content of the recording. So a solution for this is, of course, do the practice here. And after doing the practice, you can do dictation. Listen to the recording and write down the exact words in the recording. So just play about, say, 5 seconds and pause and write down 5 seconds, pause and write down, and then compare your whatever you have written down to the transcript of the recording. Okay, that's the best thing that you can do right now, because I think I also face the same problem as you did right now, because some years ago I was not able to follow every single word. So I didn't have a lot of vocabulary back then, honestly speaking. With this dictation practice, it helped me a lot. And that's the very first problem that I think one of the biggest problems that you have. The second biggest problem that you have right now is possibly, I'm not so sure, is your pronunciation, because you are not able to recognize the words, even though the words are not new words to you, probably because you pronounce it incorrectly, or you are not used to the way that people say these words. So it's very important for you to figure out why you are not, why you don't understand the recording, just why you find it difficult. Okay. First of all, you need to understand the recording before doing anything. If you don't understand the recordings, it's almost impossible for you to answer the questions, right? So first, make sure you understand the recordings, and then you can start with the strategies and everything. Okay. Do you have any questions for me before we complete our session today? I was planning to do also filling the gaps, but I don't think we have enough time. Maybe next time we're going to talk about it. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, teacher. Like, I'm trying to keep Cambridge IELTS exam as soon as because I'm applying for the university in and about. Recently, yesterday after that, I went to the IDB.
Mm.
Is it the exam same in a British Council, Cambridge or IDB?